You know, it's driving me crazy lately. We've had three really talented people turn down promotions in the last month. Three. When I was starting out, I would kill for those opportunities.
Yeah, but have you actually talked to them about why? It's funny. A friend of mine actually just turned down a management role this week, and it wasn't because she's lazy or whatever.
I didn't say lazy.
No, but that's the assumption, right? That Gen Z doesn't want responsibility. But she looked at her boss's calendar, back-to-back meetings from 8 to 6, then emails until midnight, constant fires to put out, no support. And for what? Like an extra 15% in salary? That math doesn't work.
So what? Everyone just stays individual contributors forever. Who's going to run the companies?
Maybe that's exactly the conversation we need to be having. Maybe the whole model is broken.
Hey everyone, welcome to Monarch's Leadership AICast. Today we're diving into a critical conversation happening in companies everywhere, why talented people are increasingly saying no thanks to leadership roles, and what that means for the future of work. That exchange you just heard, it's not just hypothetical, it's a direct quote from a conversation that's playing out, in boardrooms, break rooms, even over coffee. Organizations are grappling with this surprising new reality. Our mission today is to understand why the shift is happening and maybe more importantly, what could be done to truly support leaders and attract the next generation. To deep dive into the current state of leadership, and we'll be drawing from some fascinating recent insights and data that might just surprise you.
Yeah, and that initial debate really cuts to the chase, doesn't it? It hits on a hard truth. Being a leader right now is, well, without exaggeration, one of the hardest jobs on the planet. It's not just the standard burnout we talk about or even those endless back-to-back meetings that, became so common. The fundamental shift is that the weight of modern leadership, it's just never been heavier. It really demands a new kind of individual.
That's a pretty strong statement. One of the hardest jobs on the planet.
Yeah.
Because for many, leadership still seems like the goal, right? The pinnacle. So what's fundamentally changed? What makes it so much heavier now compared to, say, 10 years ago? Like, what does today's leader actually do that makes this role so incredibly challenging?
That's a great question because leaders aren't just managers of work anymore, focused on pushing projects forward. They're now expected to be, well, pretty much everything to everyone. Think about it. They're managing people, personalities, sometimes trauma, ambition, disconnection, conflict, inclusion, anxiety, performance, potential, all of it. On any given day, they're expected to coach and challenge, support and supervise, deliver results, and build psychological safety. Today's leader carries this invisible emotional burden that honestly no one really trained them for. Beyond the tasks, they're navigating their team's mental health, their personal struggles, their deep professional aspirations. It's just an immense and often contradictory set of expectations.
Wow. And here's where it really hits home for me. It's a bit unsettling, actually. They're doing all of this complex work with more people reporting to them, often in less time, with significantly higher expectations coming from, well, everywhere. And crucially, you're saying with less formal training than ever before. That sounds like a recipe for a breaking point.
It absolutely is. The data on this is incredibly loud and clear.
Yeah.
Leadership is at a breaking point. And we're not just talking about those high-profile fails you might read about. We're talking about the day-to-day reality for managers where burnout is just surging. DDI, they're a big global leadership research firm. Their 2025 forecast found that a staggering 71% of leaders worldwide report significantly higher stress levels. And DDI doesn't just blame the workload. They specifically point to emotional labor, that mental effort of managing your own and others' emotions. And also decision fatigue, that feeling where your decisions just get worse after making too many. These are core contributors. It's systemic strain.
71%.
Yeah.
It's huge. It completely flips the script on the idea that leadership is still that brass ring everyone wants. You always kind of assume people are clamoring for those roles.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But then, layer on top of that, a 2025 Gallup report. It showed only 27% of managers are actually engaged at work. And maybe even more concerning, nearly half are actively looking to leave their current roles. So if you connect those dots, overwhelmed leadership leads directly to poor organizational outcomes. That includes the bottom line. Burned out leaders, they don't just underperform, they're also 3.5 times more likely to actually leave. It really undermines that whole long-held belief about leadership being the ultimate career goal.
That data paints a pretty bleak picture. But people are still taking these roles, right? I mean, some of them must be. Is there any counter-narrative here, or are we really seeing this universal breaking point in leadership ambition?
Yeah.
Because if this is the reality,
Uh-huh.
yeah, why would anyone sign up for that? It brings us right back to that conversation we heard at the start.
It certainly does, and it speaks directly to why Gen Z in particular is increasingly saying no thanks. They're opting out. And it's not because they're unambitious that's often the easy assumption, right? No, it's because they're paying attention. Gen Z is known for radical transparency, and they're kind of holding a mirror up to a broken system. They're literally watching their bosses drown. They see the stress, the unrealistic demands, that huge emotional labor, and crucially, the clear lack of support. So their rational question is, why on earth would I sign up for that?
And there are numbers on this too, right? This isn't just a feeling or anecdotes. I think I saw a recent Deloitte survey. It revealed only 28% of Gen Z employees actually aspire to be leaders in their organizations. This really sharp drop from previous generations. This feels like more than a trend. It's a significant, maybe fundamental shift in perspective, isn't it?
Precisely. That comment from the opening, maybe the whole model is broken, suddenly resonates even more powerfully, doesn't it? It's not just some generational preference like they prefer avocado toast over corner offices. It's a rational, often very well observed response to what looks like an unsustainable model of leadership. The problem isn't necessarily their ambition, it might be the structure of the role itself.
Okay, which brings us to what feels like a really critical gap here. The role of the modern leader has fundamentally changed, as you've described. But the learning and development models, the ways we train leaders, they haven't kept up. It seems like we're still using old maps for a completely new territory. How do we get so far behind on this?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? In most companies, leadership development still looks like, well, a workbook and a workshop.
Mm.
It's often episodic, it's theoretical, and critically, it's detached from the actual real messiness of leading teams day to day. You might go to a 2-day workshop, get this binder full of concepts, right? And then you're just expected to magically apply all that stuff in really complex, high-pressure situations back at your desk. It's like learning to ride a bike by reading the manual and then being tossed onto a busy highway. There's actually research showing the distance between where you learn a skill and where you apply it really matters. Learn it in a classroom, away from the real context, you're just much less likely to actually use it. Makes sense, right?
Oh, totally. I remember times when leadership development felt
Yeah.
like a check the box thing. Go to the course, get the certificate, you're done. Good leader now. But leadership isn't really learned in a classroom, is it? It's learned in those micro moments, like you said. In the 1.1s, the tough feedback conversations, the are you okay check-ins, those coaching moments when someone's struggling or maybe spiraling or just plain stuck. Those feel like the crucible moments, the real opportunities for growth and impact.
Exactly right. For many leaders, our regular 1.1s are arguably the 1 hour a week we have to truly enact better leadership. You can argue they're the most important leadership meetings they'll have all week, and yet most leaders are doing them completely alone. No playbook, no structure, absolutely no support. And I have heard this so often from leaders, and it honestly makes me want to scream. They say, oh, 1.1s are your time. You run the show. I don't care if you talk about your cat for an hour.
Oh my gosh, yes, I've heard that too. It's baffling how common that, or talk about your cat idea still is.
Yeah.
What's the big misunderstanding there? Why such a casual approach to such a potentially vital meeting?
It's a profound misunderstanding. It's like, people, wake up. This is your job. As a leader, you are responsible for your team. You need some semblance of structure and accountability in that time. You need to be checking in on engagement, burnout, task challenges, career aspirations, so much more. Great leadership shouldn't be left to chance, or to the whims of an individual contributor who might not even know what they need or how to ask for it. This is where real development happens. Or, right now, where it often fails to happen, it's just a massive missed opportunity.
That's such a powerful point. Okay, so if the traditional methods, the workshops, aren't working, and these micro moments, especially 1.1s, are where it really happens, what's the solution then? How do we actually provide that better scaffolding for leaders, right, when they need it, in those critical moments? What's the biggest hurdle companies face in shifting to this kind of in-workflow support idea?
Well, this is precisely what Monarch was built for, actually. We've spent the last 5 years working really closely with hundreds of leaders, watching how they think, how they communicate, how they avoid tough conversations, hesitate, respond, and hopefully grow in these real-world situations. And what we realized is that modern leaders don't need another learning platform that pulls them away from their work. They need support inside the work itself. They need nudges, feedback, coaching, structure while they're actually leading. The biggest hurdle, I think, is shifting the whole mindset, moving from training as an event to enabling as an ongoing process.
And what's fascinating here is that Monarch's latest feature is exactly that, right? An AI-powered 1.1 meeting support tool. Takes this idea of in-workflow support and makes it really tangible, like right there when the leader needs it most.
That's exactly right. This tool is live on the Monarch platform today, and it helps leaders run more meaningful conversations and, frankly, with less prep time, which is huge. It gives them focus, prompts for good questions, space for reflection, and even real-time coaching, specifically during those most important leadership meetings. They're 1.1s. Imagine having that kind of intelligent support right when you need it most, guiding you to ask the right question, maybe offer the right kind of feedback, or just remember to check back in on a critical topic you discussed last time. It's about providing scaffolding, not, another lecture.
Yeah, this really challenges that old sink or swim approach to leadership development we've seen for so long, doesn't it? If we want better leaders, it seems we need better systems to support them. It's not necessarily about piling on more content to consume or adding more pressure. It's just
Yeah.
about better scaffolding, right, where the actual work of leadership happens.
Absolutely. We are truly in this moment of reckoning for leadership. It's no longer just a position of power. It's really a practice of service, of navigating complexity and relentless adaptation. But if we want leaders to actually rise to that challenge, we have to stop training them for a world that, frankly, doesn't exist anymore. The future of leadership development, we firmly believe, is in regular practice and feedback inside the workflow in real time. At Monarch, our belief is that great leaders ignite something powerful in others. And in a world where fewer people seem to want to lead, we're focused on building the ones who will.
So this whole issue, this kind of leadership exodus we're seeing, it really isn't just about generational differences, is it? Or some perceived lack of ambition, like we heard at the top. It feels much more fundamental, Mike. It's about fundamentally reimagining what leadership can and should be in a world that's changed so dramatically. It's about asking if that traditional model, the one that's burning people out, truly serves anyone anymore. Or if it's maybe time to build entirely new systems that actually support leaders in the complex realities they face every single day. Monarch, with tools like their AI-powered 1.1 support, is actively building those kinds of solutions, helping to transform leadership development from the ground up. It really leaves us with a powerful thought to consider. What kind of support do you, or the leaders around you, truly need to thrive, not just survive, in this new landscape? That's all for this deep dive from Monarch's Leadership AI Cast. If you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're dealing with leadership challenges in your organization, visit leadwithmonarch.com to discover how our AI-powered platform can help transform your approach to leadership development. Until next time, remember, tomorrow's leaders won't follow yesterday's playbook.